Hey guys, I'm Tom.
I'm Sam.
We're Geeks with Issues, and I recently found out that Sammy over there has nut residue on his hands.
Yeah,
It makes things awkward.
I like to have snacks before we record, so when my inevitable hunger hits, because I'm a fat ass, I try to eat, and I ate some nuts, and yeah, I have nut residue on my hands from eating the nuts with my coffee.
It's nuts and coffee.
Nuts and coffee. It's a very weird combination. I'm not sure how many of you out there do that.
I feel like the nuts are left over from your days at the bars. They usually keep nuts at bars, I feel like. At least that's what all the TV shows and movies tell me.
I feel like I would have actually had to go to a good bar for that to happen, though.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You know what? My information is half-assed to begin with, so I'm not even going to argue with you.
Yeah, no, I just went down the street to the corner to the place called Faces. They hardly had shit. They had some decent food, though, but I mean, it was all deep-fried shit.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, no, I'm just eating nuts because I'm trying to not eat such sweet things anymore because I have too much of a sweet tooth after I stopped drinking.
Yeah, well, that is a bad thing. I have issues with some of that occasion as well. Although my mom likes to buy all the sweet stuff, keep it in the house because Dad will eat it, and then it's just sitting there. So I have to learn to not eat that stuff and just ignore it. Because if I ignore it, I'll be okay.
That's the issue. I go to my parents' house and they have all of it. Then I go to one of my meetings and they have candy for you to eat or cookies or whatnot. And we're talking about temptation last week, and then I look down. I'm like, I really want to eat this fucking peanut butter bar, and I'm getting bad with sweets and blah blah blah. Like I'm okay with not drinking as much anymore, but I'm getting bad with sweets.
Yeah,
fucker
replacing one with the other.
Fucker across the table starts dangling a fucking Snickers bar in front of my face. Room just busts up laughing. It was great.
Well, it was, we were at the gym and they had candy and pizza.
Candy and pizza at the gym. It was fucking ridiculous. Who cupcakes?
Get your workout in.
Gym?
Eat a cupcake. Give you it helps them keep themselves in business because if they fatten you up, you have to come back to lose the weight.
Exactly. They're keeping the goddamn hamsters in the wheel.
They are.
It's the hamster wheel effect.
They know what they're doing.
But
I say?
Man, we got off into meetings and food and whatnot,
Yeah.
all because of fucking nut residue.
Yes, all because there's two things to that. One, there's a nut in an office, and he had a meeting recently.
Yes.
With video game people.
Yeah, that fucking crazy ass nut.
He also may be a Cheeto because he's pretty orange.
Yeah.
Ooh, well then. Sounds like Opie agrees.
Yeah, my dog can be decently smart. He is a Mexican sledding dog, you know.
Well, there you go.
He would not agree with he would not agree with Opie policies. No, he would not agree with Trump policies.
He wouldn't
being
even
a Mexican sledding dog.
He wouldn't
That's what I
agree
got to
with
say.
his own policies.
He probably wouldn't. But yeah, that fucking crazy dude's bringing back up what's already been brought up again and again and again and again. Video games cause us to be more violent?
Yes. Well, and he's also looking into movies as well.
Yes.
But I mean, this has been something that's been going on since the 80s. You had the parental advisory sticker on the music because, oh my God, it's ruining our children. And then you go into your comic book industry had a similar issue even longer before that, where they put rules in place against them, and they had to abide by those rules to get the comic book industry sticker thing. There was no actual for them. There was nothing if they didn't abide by those rules, they just wouldn't have the sticker, and it just made oh my God, maybe the parents wouldn't buy it for their kids. And eventually, that's what they did. That's how they got rid of the code for them.
Yeah, I do remember that being on back in the day, and even back in the day, I assume onomatopoeias like the pow and stuff, kind of was helped to cover up some of the things that were okay. I'm punching him here, blah blah blah. Onomatopoeia there, it makes it look a little bit better,
right?
Instead of straight up violence,
right? It wasn't until the government wanted to do an anti-drug comic, and they talked to DC, and then they talked to Marvel, and the one that they were going to do with DC, DC couldn't publish it because it had direct drug references in the fact that Speedy was doing heroin or something. He was shooting up. He was doing speed or something. Yeah, he was doing speed or he was doing something, and it's actually on the cover where he's putting a syringe into his arm and stuff. And that the comic book industry or code industry thing was oh no, you can't do that. But but the government wanted us to make this comic. And they're we don't care. And then they were well, fuck it, we like it anyways. We're putting it out. And they just didn't have the stamp. And then they realized that didn't do anything to sales. So they just said, well, fuck them. We'll do whatever we want.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much how that code came down and stopped being a part of the industry. But then, like I said, you go forward. You have the parental advisory sticker. You have, games have ratings and movies have ratings. TV shows have ratings. Mm-hmm. There's been an ongoing conversation for a long ass time now.
Oh yeah, I mean, violence has existed forever, and media is an outlet no matter what it is. Right. So at what point do you restrict the outlet of what it contains?
Well, and
we've seen how censoring works, and being one of the most censored countries actually in sexual sexually explicit content. Yes. I was trying to find the right words there. We are one of the most censored nations with that, like compared to Europe and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But violence is running rampant and whatnot. Not that video game or movie violence is necessarily linked to that or anything, but it's just weird that you would.
I'm sure it's linked into the fact that someone with mental health issues who cannot differentiate a fantasy world from the real world and has issues with that, that's where you find your link. But that is not the majority of people playing or participating or enjoying those medias.
Exactly. And so Europe, do you have so many more sexual offenders because there's there's boobs everywhere because it's okay for boobs to be everywhere on media. You're allowed to be naked in certain places. Like in Germany, we were there on a family vacation. Like this lady just strips down on the beach, whatnot, strips in there or puts on her bathing suit. Like that's what people do. They don't care. Like things aren't hidden. I mean, they're not, I guess, quite as prude, even though you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
But that doesn't create sexual offenders, a higher rate of sexual offenders over in Europe or whatnot because of the non-censorship.
Yeah. And there's other things with like teen pregnancy being one of those big things. Like if you start sexual education, an appropriate sexual education in like kindergarten, which is like, hey, these are boys, these are girls, and just like with clothes on and like showing what basic differences might be, and you increase that education as they go along, it decreases the likelihood of teen pregnancy. Mm-hmm. And people get all up in arms over that kind of stuff because, oh my God, we're teaching our kids this, but you're educating them, and that's how you defeat the ignorance, is by education.
Exactly. Education breeds intelligence, obviously. I mean, I was trying to find a more like philosophical word for that, but intelligence.
Well, it also does a good job with understanding.
Yeah.
You understand your consequences. If you understand your consequences, you're gonna be able to know what you should or shouldn't do. And so if you're educated to that degree, there's less likelihood that you're going to do that. If you just leave everyone to do whatever, then you get Wild Wild West and shootouts in the middle of the street and all that kind of stuff.
And babies everywhere.
Yes.
Lots and lots of babies. And TV shows like whatever that 16-year-old My Baby show is.
Oh, the MTV thing, the teen pregnancy, teen moms or whatever.
Yeah, teen moms or whatever the fuck that show is.
There's a bunch of different ones.
So dumb. America, you're so dumb.
Yes. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a thing. It keeps going on, and it's probably one of my biggest things is that the government loves stupid people.
Oh yes.
Because the less educated you are, the easier it is for them to manipulate you. It's easier for anyone to manipulate you if you don't know what's going on. Because as soon as you go, oh, I trust this person, they can do whatever they want for the most part.
Yeah. When you put someone in a place of trust, your guards go down a little bit more.
Yep.
And they can get away with more.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And yeah, I don't know. Going back to the whole everything, like education in school, obviously that violence is bad. Violence is bad. It's always told, but even throughout history, there's so much violence, so much religion. There's violence. Right. So even there's just so much of it everywhere. But as you said, normal people can differentiate. Okay, that was the past. Right. That's religion. This is that. Blah blah blah. And I need to be a good person. I don't need to kill people.
Right.
Other people don't seem to be able to differentiate that that's a bad thing to do, to kill innocent people.
Exactly.
And yeah, it makes them a bad person in society's eyes. It's probably, morally they're also a bad person. But like if someone doesn't really know anything better, mental illness is really, really crazy. It's
mental illness can skew your point of view. So like you may look at something and you may even understand that killing people is wrong, but when mental illness can kick in, depending on what your degree of mental illness might be and what particular mental illness you're dealing with, or set of mental illnesses, if you're, if you have more than one, it can skew your point of view, and then you go in and it doesn't seem as vicious all of a sudden, or as evil for you to go in and do certain things. And I don't know the school shooter. I don't know much about the guy that just this weekend. There was a guy who was at a veterans home, and he had killed 3 employees and himself.
Yeah.
Apparently, he had he had participated with this counselor who was doing PTSD stuff. So, what all was actually going on there? I mean, there could be more.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that fleshes out.
But if you have mental illness, it skews that point of view, and all of a sudden, things don't quite make sense. I mean, I just brought up PTSD. That's a great example of people come back, and it could be fireworks going off. It could be someone popping a balloon, but it's enough to set you off and think that you're back in a war zone.
Yeah, take you back to a flashback.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's how dramatic it can skew your point of view. And because it's not a physical thing, you can't see it, but the person is experiencing it. And it's hard to explain those experiences if you're not the one actually experiencing it.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic of mental illness, I did a little background search of what does America find is what is the definition of mental illness. And it was like the Psychological Organization of America or something, .org I went to, and I pulled this this definition from. But mental illnesses are health conditions involving changes in thinking, emotion, or behavior. So, like, there's really no definition of what mental illness is. It's just anything to make you think not correctly. But
right. I mean, and there are some ways to find a physical attribute to some of those. When they do brain scans, they can figure out some of them, but not all of them have that same ability to be noticed in that degree. And at the same time, what do? Do you run? Everyone has to get a brain scan every 5 years. You can't really do that.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's definite clinical mental illnesses like that can be proven like that, of like Down syndrome, things like that, where the synapses don't go and connect right in your brain. Like, literally, you cannot think as what a normal developed human being would be. But then there's just all these other subsets of things that are crazy. Like, I know I have anxiety. I've been told I have clinical anxiety, probably depression. I believed that I had depression when I was younger, but no, I get depressed, but I don't have depression. I have anxiety that can trigger depression. Yeah. And it's things like that. Like, there's just such a slew of all this mental illness thrown out there now, and there's no way to really. No one's showing you how to really deal with it on a productive level.
Yeah, we also don't. At least as American society, we don't put in the money to it to be able to get the research done appropriately or in a timely enough fashion to get those kinds of results, to have more information. It's still very taboo, although at least taboo in the eyes of the government. But in other arts and things like that, we're seeing more and more people coming out and pushing that limit of, no, this is what I'm experiencing. I'm going to try to give you this experience from my point of view of my depression, or the things that are crazy things that are going on in my mind, whether it's music. We've had that going on. Rock and metal are doing it, and now more and more rap artists are doing it. Comedians obviously have talked about their own mental health issues. That's what we find most entertaining, is they joke about it, but it's their way of coping with their own mental health issues, and that's been going on for years and years and years. We see more movie and video game stuff coming out now. And the thing is like those mediums are great, but because the what we'll call them upper class, put quotes around that if you want, but they view those medias as almost lesser art forms more often than not.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why video games tend to get picked on a lot, because they are considered a lesser art form. A lot like comic books are generally considered a lesser art form, but like books are generally considered, the hierarchy of art, or fine art type things.
An epic novel.
Yes, but then because that's why you hold like the Bible in high regard, and certain other books in high regard, but all of those books still have plenty of violence in them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're not all. I wouldn't say they have more violence in them than video games and movies, but they have just as much.
Yeah, like I've thought about it before, and I don't know many religious texts, if any, that I've ever personally read. The Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible. I haven't read all of the Quran though. The Bhagavad Gita, and I always butcher that name, by the way. The Hindu book.
Okay.
But the Bible I've read through, and like there's so much goddamn violence in them. Like,
Oh yeah.
and there's other forms of video games that don't have violence in them, but every religious text I've ever read has violence within it.
Yeah.
Like Abraham's children in not after Genesis, Old Testament. That's what I'm thinking of.
The Old Testament is where all the crazy shit is. That's where a lot of the violence ends up being.
And Abraham's kids. So there was a pagan guy who apparently raped or whatever a Christian woman or girl, one of Abraham's daughters or something. Yeah, definitely not right. Definitely not right. But also, he wanted to marry her or something, and the brothers and Abraham were all cool with him marrying her and whatnot because she was desecrated.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so because she was desecrated, they needed to get rid of her.
Mhm.
And like, wow, that's okay, Bible.
Well,
And then after that, the brothers got pissed because Abraham went to the pagans and said, if you want to have him marry my daughter, all of you have to get circumcised. So all the pagans went to go get circumcised. And then while they were recovering from getting their dicks fucked with, Abraham's brothers went and killed all of them. And that was their revenge. So
Yeah.
even though one person did bad against them, they killed the entire society.
yeah.
Who was willing to get their dick cut off, parts of their dick cut off, so their one brethren could marry a girl he raped. Really not a good moral story anywhere around,
Right.
but still,
Yeah.
you go kill everybody else because one person wronged you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Well-
Bible. I learned very well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of your Greek and Roman mythology and your Norse mythology, all of that is still very entrenched in various war stories and things like that because that was their way of life and that's what they knew. And so you take from that and you put it in there. And yeah, I like all those stories because they kind of have comic book-esque qualities to them. But whether it's the Bible or the Quran or any of them, I tend to view them more as we'll call it loose history books.
They're philosophical stories.
Well, so the thing about it is I feel like with enough of those books, you get a lot of crossover. So Abraham shows up in multiple books and things like that. Now, just like, you can have Moses shows up in multiple books too. I believe that there was a flood that, covered the whole planet and he got all of the animals onto a boat. No, I don't buy that. But I say loose history because I feel like those people probably existed, and to a certain degree, some of those events probably happened.
Oh yeah,
much like
religion's always been to create stories that make us understand things that happen.
Right. I would say what was with Grendel and all of them?
Beowulf.
Thank you. I was like, your cat's named after the
No.
one. Well, I see. When I think of Baal, that's what I think of.
No,
Baal.
Baal is a pagan god of. Here we go to the pagans because I am one. A pagan god of nature and fertility.
Okay, but
Also a boss in Diablo.
Okay, there you go. But Beowulf, that is considered. That story was handed down, and over time there was exaggerations made and things like that before it was actually written. So at some point there was probably some truth to that story. But by the time it got written down, there's so much exaggeration in it, much like in the Bible. There's so much exaggeration in it that you have to look at it and be able to look at it and go, okay, well, this probably happened, but this obviously couldn't have.
Yeah, like the Odyssey and the Iliad. Like, they've proven that there was a city called Troy. That used to not be a fact.
Yeah.
They thought Troy and not the Iliad. The Iliad. Could have been a fictional story, and then they actually found Troy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, this existed. We don't know if it happened that way,
Right.
but Troy actually is here.
Yeah.
Homer was right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot of those stories. That's how it goes. But we view a lot of those with more regard, so we don't...
We accept it.
We accept it. That's exactly what it is. But then you look at video games, and we don't regard that quite as much. We don't find it to be as high class, I guess, even though I would disagree with a lot of that, considering some of the content,
of the movies.
some of the movies and some of the content in video games, I would say is more high class than what you might think.
Oh yeah.
But because we don't view it that way, we tend to just brush it off and say, or well, not we, but a lot of like lawmakers will brush it off and say, well, that's where our problem is.
It's an easy thing to point to.
Yeah.
because our generation's more into it than any other generation is. And,
Well, it's also
bam, there. That has violence in it. It must be it. Not that there is, in all aspects of society, mental illness.
Yeah.
Like you have Robin Williams, who killed himself, comedian. You have Chester Bennington. He has a lot of money. He has kids, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That couldn't save him from killing himself.
Right.
Like, when the Great Depression happened and the stock market crashed, how many higher-ups killed themselves because they didn't want to deal with losing all their money?
Right.
Mental illness has existed forever, and it's never been taken care of successfully.
Oh no, it hasn't. And we ignore it because again, it's not a physical thing that you can see, and so we just go, oh, you need just get to a better place. You just do better. We just tell someone to just go do it, like it's gonna magically happen. You snap your fingers, you flip a switch, and everything's just magically great again.
Yeah.
And that's not. It doesn't just turn like that. It takes time. It takes practice. You fall back on old habits. You pick yourself back up, and you continue onward.
Exactly. But
But
I don't know how the trickle-down effect will work with some government ever trying to help individuals, but I don't know. It's one of those things. Individuals got to learn to help each other. It's a we thing. It's not a me thing.
Right. I mean, the best thing the government can do is when we were talking about health care at one point would be to offer mental health care in that same policy.
But that's socialism.
Right. Exactly. But again, if you had mental health care in the healthcare policies, which some do now, but if that was more prevalent and people understood that was part of their health care, they might take the chance to go seek help. Mm-hmm. But you also have to remove the taboo of seeing a psychiatrist, which that is in and of itself a different issue.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Like people need to realize, okay, it's okay for me to go help myself.
Right.
Like I used to never want to see a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist never really worked for me, but I go to meetings now. I do my own thing, and I find like-minded people who have the same issues I have. We talk about how we deal with them, and I leave there feeling better about myself and knowing how I can tackle certain issues when they come up in my life. Or if I do have an issue, hey guys, this is really bothering me. Well, why are you having it bother you so much? Talk it out.
Right.
Bam. It's not so bad. Problem talked is a problem cut in
Well,
half.
there you go. I mean, that's communication. That's the number one issue that I find repeatedly throughout life is people just don't want to communicate, whether it's communicating your feelings or communicating what's going on in a relationship or whatever it is. Communicating what's happening in your life is the only way to find any type of resolve, because if you continue to try and distill it in your own head, you're going to continue to get the same flaws without getting the help from other people to remove some of those flaws.
Yeah,
because you're going to have your own bias, and if you keep incorporating your own bias into the situation, it's just going to become more ingrained.
Yeah, open-mindedness is key.
Yes.
I mean, it's definitely great to have strong opinions, but to be open-minded about other opinions and allow them to try to give you some facts about it. Like, obviously, if they're spewing bullshit at you, call them on bullshit. Say, I need some sources. What's going on?
Right.
But if they have some legitimate arguments with whatever you're talking about, whatever you're doing, or whatever's going on in your life, listen to somebody.
Yes.
Take some advice. Even if you don't follow it, you never know when that advice might be useful later on in the future.
Yeah. Well, you were just bringing up sources. One of the things we have now is people just ignore scientific fact in general for whatever reason. And so getting sources is a really good thing. And learning what those sources could be from, and making sure that they're appropriately peer reviewed. If you're talking about scientific facts, they should be peer reviewed. There should be, those studies have multiple examples within themselves to say, like, this is what I keep finding, and it's been peer reviewed, so we know that this is, other people have tried it, and this is what they're finding. So there is fact within this.
Yes.
Yes, it's scientific, so there are chances that someone will come back later and find the flaw in it, but if it's been peer reviewed and you're accepting it and it's been accepted within the scientific community, then it's okay to use. But people ignore that. Like, take climate change for a great example. There's hundreds of scientists that will tell you climate change is happening. It is a fact. But there's that one scientist that everyone wants to go back to, but he found that it was a lie, and then blah, blah, blah. And they're like, so you believe one guy over 100 people?
Yeah, no, like, I was in Alaska a couple of years ago, and my sister No, her boyfriend was reading a book about John Muir's time in Alaska. And we were at places where he was at in the book. And so it was really cool. Like, Austin would be explaining it, blah, blah, blah. This is where John Muir sat. But he's explaining that glacier we see miles and miles and miles away is actually like 100 yards from him back then, only 100 years ago or whatnot. And crazy shit like that. Maybe not quite miles away and whatnot, but the receding of the glaciers within the last 100 years truly shows that there's something going on. And then you can actually see the progress of where people take pictures of where the glacier was and like events of what occurred. Like in the 1800s, after like coal boom started coming up a lot more, like they had markers of where the glacier used to be when we went to go to Kenai Fjords Park. And Exit Glacier used to be way out there, and then you start walking up this walkway, and it's like, this is when the Industrial Revolution hit. Bam. This is where the glacier was. After that, they kept posting signs like this is where it was in 1850, 1875, 1900, 1950. And then even where the glacier was 10 years ago, when I got up to it, was like a football field away. It was crazy. Yeah. Like you're seeing there's definite proof there. If there's not proof where we live right now, Ohio having crazy ass weather, everywhere having crazy weather, go up north, you'll see the proof.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my favorite things. People, when you talk about weather, people don't understand global warming and climate change are essentially the same thing.
Yes.
We changed it to global climate change. So for essentially marketing purposes, so people wouldn't be like, well, it's cold outside, so clearly it's not warming.
Yeah.
But the climate change aspect of it is the fact that you will see these extreme temperatures, extreme variations. So when you get, 2 months worth of negative 15 degrees because, that's just what's going on. And then next year we're breaking records with how warm it is at times. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what we're talking about. You're talking about these extreme variations that shouldn't be happening like that. To have like one day where you're like, oh wow, this is a little warmer than usual. Like that's fine. But when you're talking like we destroyed a record, was it last month? It was like 72 degrees or something, and we just destroyed a record because the record was like 60, and we were up into the 70s.
Yeah, and then there's the people on the middle edge of the coin, like not on either side of the coin, but like, it happens. Climate change just happens on a global scale every few millennia. Well, all right, so you're accepting we're about to die. Like, we don't need to change anything and just live the way we are, and everything's going to be okay when the climate completely changes where we're at.
Right.
Like, yeah, we can't do anything about it, but we still need to prep to deal with the inevitable.
Yeah. You can accept that it's happening, or accept that it's happening, but you need to understand why it's happening.
Oh.
You need to understand that as humans, we impact the world around us, and we can increase those variables or decrease those variables for how quickly that change will happen.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing such dramatic changes, is because as we've progressed and we move to coal industry and stuff like that, we're putting more and more of these elements into the air, and that's creating the climate change that we're seeing, and we are exponentially creating the change for what's going on around us.
Yeah, we're speeding along a natural process.
Yes,
but man, weather from guns.
Weather from guns, and then back to video games. Let's say most notably this week we got a Nintendo Direct.
Yes.
That was, I don't know. I mean, this is the second one we've gotten, I think, this year. And both of them have just been filled with mostly ports, which is cool because as a Wii U owner, I'm seeing all of my games from the Wii U get ported to the Switch.
And it's cool for me because as a non-Wii U owner who always wanted one but didn't buy one because there's just other things to do at the time, and plastic crack. That's probably the main reason why I didn't buy a Wii U. God damn you, Warhammer. But I digress. But I'm very happy about the ports that are coming to it.
Yeah, I mean it's good, but I would also, I would also like to see more new games coming to it rather than just the ports. If there was a good mix, I'd probably be more okay. But we've been leaning so heavily on the ports right now that I'm just like meh. I mean, there's some good stuff and there's exciting stuff, which we'll come to, but I would like to see a better mix of new to old.
Yeah, it was just in the headlines of the Direct, but I have to say one thing I'm excited for is the Kirby game this Friday.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
That's coming out this Friday. So that's that was one of the things
On
from
the 16th, one day before my Tau Codex. I'm not going back to Warhammer. I've been way too in Warhammer this weekend.
Oh, you'll go back to it. Don't you worry about it.
Oh, I know I am. I'm going tomorrow. I'm doing a live battle report. It'll be interesting.
There you go. Yeah. So we figure there's eight confirmed ports from just this direct.
Yes.
There were more in the last direct.
Possibly 9.
Yeah.
It looks like Smash is going to be new.
Right. Yeah, I'd say Smash.
But maybe they're just adding new characters.
Yeah, it could. So Smash could be like Pokken Tournament DX, where it's a port of the game, but you did get new content with it. Mm-hmm. So the
Which
Smash,
I'll still be happy with.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna be happy with a Smash game either way. So that's gonna be exciting. It also gives me one less reason to have my Wii U out anymore.
Yeah, very true.
Unfortunately, I guess. I don't know. Fortunately, unfortunately.
There's still a few games
Yeah.
on Wii U that are not on the Switch, like
Yeah.
2D Mario platformer needs to come.
Yeah.
But
Would be
before
nice.
we talk about what we need for the Switch, let's talk about what Nintendo is bringing us.
Sure. So let's see. We got one of the first ports you got the Toad game.
Yes.
Captain Toad.
Apparently a game for the 3DS. Kind of interesting.
Oh, is the port on the 3DS?
No,
Oh,
it's
is it-
porting from the 3DS.
I thought it was on the Wii U.
Or maybe it was on the Wii U.
I thought it
I
was
don't
on-
know. I don't know.
I swear the original was on the Wii U.
I don't know as many games because I'm just getting into the
Yeah.
3DS now. So probably Wii U.
And
I'm
then-
just ignorant.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it was on the Wii U. Yeah, it was one of those types of puzzle type games where you can rotate through, like, so you get you get this brick of a level, and as you go through it, it'll rotate. Think of like Fez-ish. I don't know if you remember Fez.
Hey guys, that 70s show guy. I can't.
No.
mimic that
There was a
accent.
game called Fez, and it was a puzzle type game that you would rotate the level, and depending on how you rotated the level would change how you would get through the level. So from one direction, you might be able to move, left and right, but if you rotate it, there might be a stairs that let you go up a level. But you can't get to those stairs unless you rotate the level. And so the Toad game was similar to that, except you had more, 3D movement. And you would, go through and find your way through the levels, and it would kind of rotate a little bit as you're going through to give you the full view of the level so you can collect everything and finish it. Never actually played it, so I could be a little bit mistaken on some of that stuff, but
Yeah, and that's going to be one of the games coming as a port.
yes.
With extra content for like Mario Odyssey and stuff that came out.
Yes.
Next one that I'm kind of excited about is Luigi's Mansion for the 3DS, the original Luigi's Mansion for the
Yes.
GameCube. I never played it. Heard it was a great game. A lot of people didn't like it, I guess, but a lot of people did like it.
I guess I just know all the people who do like it, and everyone raves about
I think
that
it was
one.
a disappointment when it came out.
It might have been. Well, it was on the GameCube.
It was the first non-Mario release system, I think.
It was
not Mario release.
It was the first non-Mario release in a long time.
Yeah.
It was. I think Luigi's Mansion may have come out before Sunshine.
Yes, it did.
So that was
it was the
part of
first
it.
flagship Mario game, but without Mario for the system. That's what I meant to say.
Because there was Mario's Missing game before that where you played as Luigi.
And so, that'll be interesting because I don't know. I always like the concept. Luigi's my favorite Mario character too, so it'll be great. He's tall. He jumps high. I like him.
He slides around.
Yeah,
He's a
slides
scaredy
around.
cat. I don't. This is one of those things. Like it's a game I never played. I never really. I've heard great things about it. I've seen the gameplay footage and stuff like that, and so I was just. I don't know. It was never like, oh my god, I gotta go play Luigi's Mansion. So I really don't. I don't have a preference either way. It's cool that it's coming out. I mean, it's nice to have that, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised considering Nintendo's sales moniker is essentially selling you nostalgia.
Yeah, and
So,
I feel like 3DS is a system that's going to be going away. Whether
sure.
Nintendo intentionally meant for it to be trumped by the Switch or not, I think it's going to happen.
I'm sure it will happen because there's no point of having two handhelds. I mean, your Switch is essentially a handheld.
Like one
most of the
handheld
time.
with two screens and one handheld with one screen.
Yeah.
And Switch, I use it more handheld. Well, depending. I use it a fair amount handheld versus putting it on the dock and playing it that way. Like, I don't know. I'll sit and I'll watch TV and play Skyrim.
I wouldn't be too surprised if eventually the 3DS and Switch
Combined.
combined. But so essentially what I'm thinking is like you'll have a situation like Microsoft with PC, So you buy a game on the Xbox and Xbox One, and you can also get some of those games on the PC free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that Nintendo might end up going a similar route because they'll still sell 3DSs, they'll still sell 2DSs, they'll still sell a Switch. But if they can combine those two, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
Yeah, just unfortunately, game mechanics would be so different because touchscreen versus non-touchscreen. Well, it is a touchscreen, but it doesn't have two screens.
Right. Will that be the thing? Is that maybe you'll have like 2DS or 3DS exclusives, as that were, because then you'll have the two screens. But I mean, you don't necessarily have to have two screens.
Yeah, and well, other than Luigi's Mansion, they're also putting out WarioWare for the 3DS, WarioWare Collection. So it's not a true port,
right?
But it's a collection, which.
Well, they just did that with Mario Party as well. For the 3DS, they released it's like the top 100 games or something from Mario Party.
And that annoys me. Like, why aren't you putting these on the Switch?
Well, but yeah, why aren't you putting it on the Switch? But why aren't you just making a full-fledged game? Like, why just rehash those same mini games all over again?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they need to have a party game for the Switch. I know a lot of WarioWare was on the DS, but you can make a party game for the Switch.
I want to say there was a WarioWare game for like the GameCube, I think. Or maybe it was the Wii. I think it was for the Wii.
It was for the Wii, and then there was the Touch and Go.
I think the Wii one was the last console one that I think there was.
Yeah, I also had one for my Game Boy Advance. It had a weird little gyroscope pack at the bottom of it.
Okay.
But so why don't you just make it for the Switch? Give the people the party game, guys, and just let us sit here with our friends and have fun.
Well, that's the whole point of the Switch is you take it out and you have fun with people places. So if you had a party game to take somewhere, it would make it more entertaining because you'd have the stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, they definitely need to do that. They definitely need to come out with a full-fledged party game from like the Mario Party series or from WarioWare. I feel like people would be more interested in a Mario Party game than a WarioWare game.
Yeah, I'd play either though.
I'm sure either one people would play, but if they had to choose, I'm sure Mario Party
over WarioWare. But I would definitely take a WarioWare, Nintendo, if you're listening to this, which you never will. But maybe you'll take my advice one day.
Yes.
I can aspire.
I want to say, back on the port bandwagon, you have the Okami HD game. I never played the first one, the original. So again, it's another one of those things where it's like, I know of it and it seemed cool, but I never played it, so I don't know.
I've heard it's a bit epic, and I'm gonna definitely get it. I know that.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know too much about the game. I know it's epic. I've been asked, or I've been told. I told people I don't want to know much about it because I know it's just epic. So let me play through the artistic story. Yeah. Especially because I love wolves.
I'd say about the only surprise in the ports though would have been Crash Bandicoot. That kind of surprised me in the fact that that's always been a Sony proprietary game.
It's leaving Sony's system. I had to look up that Sony didn't own the rights to
it. We had this conversation before this. I'm like, he hasn't, I don't know if he was ever owned by Sony, but he's only ever been on Sony platforms.
Yeah.
And so it was always just assumed that he was a Sony character. I mean, considering the old Crash Bandicoot commercials they used to make, he used to sit there and like yell at the Nintendo offices and stuff and make fun of them or make fun of Xbox.
Yeah, like it was they used him as a PlayStation mascot essentially.
Oh yeah, he was the PlayStation mascot in the very beginning, and then he disappeared shortly after that. And I don't know if if the rights transferred hands along the way from like different things. I mean, if you look at Rare, Nintendo at least owns Donkey Kong, so the Donkey Kong Country games that Rare made are still owned by Nintendo, but they're Rare games. So it's a weird situation. Whereas like what the hell was his name? Conker's Bad Fur Day was only on the 64 originally.
And then it went to Xbox.
It went to Xbox because that was owned by the company.
Bring back Jet Force Gemini, god damn it! I love that game.
No, never. I don't even know.
Oh, Jet Force Gemini. It was made by Rare. It was an epic game. You had to go collect space teddy bears and keep them from enslavement and kill all the evil ant aliens. It was epic.
Yeah. The only thing I remember from Bad Fur Day is killing all the teddy bears.
Bouncing on tits.
There's that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Pooh Monster.
I never actually played through it.
I
just know specific parts of it.
I remember playing it with Josh.
Yes,
with our friend Josh. Josh had it, and he would play it, or then we'd play like multiplayer and stuff, and we would show off like stuff from the game. I remember the Pooh Monster and various other things.
Yes.
Maybe we'll get a port of that
That'd be great one day.
People have been
Nintendo,
asking.
keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Nintendo people have been asking for a new Conquer game, so we'll see if they ever actually get it.
Yeah. Outside of ports, some interesting things that will be coming are a update to Splatoon. There's going to be some DLC. I'm not too sure how I like the DLC, though. It's only $20. It's a solo campaign, which I guess is cool. I guess it's like going to be a puzzle thing. But after you beat it, you get to play as the squid girl that's going to be the star of that campaign in multiplayer. So, I mean, I wish there would be a little bit more to it, but I like that there's not going to be any multiplayer-specific things that you have to get that DLC for.
Otherwise, you can't play anymore.
It seems like it's a little less of a bulky DLC, but I like that Nintendo's not making you get this to play certain levels, do certain things. You can still play multiplayer and do everything everybody else does if you don't buy the DLC. You can't say that about any other... I mean, it's not a true shooter, but shooter-style game.
Yeah, there's not many that are like that.
And Nintendo just keeps... Every month, Nintendo adds something to Splatoon. I have so much fun with that game. You could get hardcore with it if you want. I haven't really. I've started trying to farm my gear for chunks and blah, 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 and do all that stuff and get the right gear that I want for the right situation. But you don't need to, and you can still win, and you can still have fun.
Yeah.
And that's what's so much fun about it.
That's good. Let's see. Going from there, you have the Octopath Travelers. They finally announced the release date for it, which I think was July 13th.
Yeah.
I know it's in July.
It's sometime in July, and I'm kind of excited about that. I want to see how the overall game looks. I played the demo. There's a couple things that I wasn't thrilled about with the demo, but I had a lot of fun playing it. Like, walking through town, when you go to buy something from a shop, like every other game, like we're in, I don't know what generation of consoles now, but every other game, you go into the shop, and even if it's an 8-bit game, you see like a shopkeeper and then an inventory, and you buy from it. No, it just goes to a gray screen that overlays your screen of the world and gives you an item list to buy from. It doesn't immerse you enough.
Yeah.
And that was my problem with it. Like, I have no problem with the graphics that they did, even though like they're making an 8-bit game on a
from the video I saw. There's like a lot of 8-bit stuff, but like the background graphics,
backgrounds are
super
great, yes.
beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful game, and I like the artistic style they're going with. But to not include things to immerse you in the world more, like as simple as going into a shop to buy things. You only go into the buildings that have to do with the storyline. Yeah. Maybe that was just a demo.
Yeah, well, I know in the direct they mentioned that because the whole point of putting out the demo was to get that type of feedback and stuff.
And that's the feedback I gave, actually.
So I know they in the Nintendo Direct they made mention of some of the like, oh yeah, from this type of stuff we've our feedback from the people who played it, we've changed this or changed that. So that might end up being something that gets changed.
Yeah.
So when a proper demo comes out, you might see some changes like that. I'm assuming that there'll be some sort of proper.
Yeah,
demo.
I loved the combat stuff. The combat took a little bit long, actually, in my opinion, but it was still fun. And I think what they're going to do with the job system will be really cool. Have a dancer be combined with a warrior, and then even if you do that, you're going to have so many other different skills that you could go through. You're never going to play the same character over and over.
So each character has their own preset job, so like merchant, dancer, whatever type of things, and then I guess you can add on top of that like another knight job. Or warrior or whatever, monk, whatever they have. I don't remember what all the options were.
So far they've only released merchant, dancer, warrior, and what was the other new one? Apothecary.
Okay.
And then so far they haven't released the other 4, but those 4 you can stack on top of your current job to make new interesting combinations. And then you could either go for the crazy high tier, expensive skills when you level up or whatnot, or you could get a bunch of the low ones and things like that. And if you get a bunch of low ones, you'll never be... I don't know. It sounds really interesting. Like you'll never have the same setup if you make different choices, obviously.
That's good.
For how you level up.
That's, again, a newer game. I mean, it has older styles and stuff to it, but it's a new game, some different concepts. And so...
And 8 different campaigns to it.
Actually intrigues me. So it's something that I'm actually interested in.
And like I'll play it once as one character, play it again as another character, play it again, and you're going to get a whole completely different background story to it. Because I did really like the engaging background story of the dancer. Like her parents were killed, and then by this group, and she saw it when she was a little kid, so she went out and became this like can girl dancer. unfortunately working for an oppressive, like, slave monger dude who sounds like he was probably doing other things to her too, which they're hinting at that within a RPG game made by Square Enix. So it's adding mature content to it. It's not directly hitting that and saying it, but you can insinuate what they're saying there, and you're playing a mature game,
right?
And with mature concepts, and it makes the background of the character feel.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you feel for the character.
Right. Well, it gives you a reason to feel connected to that world. So it's not just
like Skyrim and all these other games where bam, your character now.
Right. Well,
create yourself.
Yeah. Again, that's always ends up being my issue with the create your character things. You know, you're unnamed person. You're the chosen one, and then you don't really have any real backstory.
I am the chosen, and I spit dragon breath and things at you because I'm a dragon thing for whatever reason.
Because words.
Yeah, because words.
Yes.
Other than that, there will be a Japanese-only possibly game coming out to the Switch, which is a game about sushi and taking it off one of those sushi conveyor belts. I don't know.
It's like eat, throw sushi or something.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics of it. It's weird. Yeah, it's going to be probably Japanese-only. But the reason to bring it up is, I don't know if everybody out there knows, you can change the area of where your Switch is at. And so even if you live in the U.S., you could just change it to Japanese real quick. You're going to have to figure out how to search for that game.
Right, yeah.
And all that stuff. But you're not going to be restricted to buying U.S.-only games on the Switch, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So might be a Japanese-only game, and which, yeah, that makes sense. Like, how many Americans are gonna go like, oh, I really want to get a indie game about sushi.
Yeah,
I know a bunch of people who would, but in the majority of the average American, I don't think many would.
Right. Yeah. No, most aren't gonna really want to mess with that.
But the ability that if I wanted it, I could go get it, even though I don't have to order it and have it shipped over from Japan is great.
Yes. Let's say jumping back to ports and stuff real quick. You were a Dark Souls player.
Yes.
So you're going to get...
No. I never played Dark Souls.
Okay.
I played Demon Souls.
Oh, my bad. You played the original.
Which is said to probably be the best, too.
Haven't played any of them, so I got no opinion.
And it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
I grind fest. I put a lot of hours into that game. I didn't want to put in enough hours to beat that game. My buddy Jeremy played the game 150 some hours, I think, and beat it. Fuck that shit. I'm sorry. 150 hours of grinding the same 8 levels over and over and over again. Fuck that shit. But I love the game. I love the mechanics. Had so much fun with it. If you didn't have to grind, I would play it over.
Well, so that's one of the games getting ported, and they're getting an amiibo. Their own Dark Souls amiibo.
And so I think that allows you to save wherever or something like that.
That'd be nice.
It allows you to use like the daylight ability or something like that. And I don't know Dark Souls how that works, but like Demon Souls, you had to go to specific places to save. I think Dark Souls, or you had to go to a fire pit to save. Yeah. So I think maybe if you turn on the daylight, you're able to save real quick or something.
Oh.
So that would be cool to have a useful amiibo for the game. Maybe I'll end up getting that. Yeah. I'm considering it. Gotta say, I'm considering it. But Bloodborne just came out this month for free on the PS4, and I really do want to play that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's free, so that's kind of
I like the horror stuff better.
Yeah.
Even though Dark Souls is definitely horror-themed medieval fantasy, I like the gory Cthulhu-type worlds a little bit better, in my opinion. I don't know. I like horror stuff.
Yeah. I say, well, we're also getting Hyrule Warriors port definitive edition.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
that is right.
I got it for the Wii U when it first came out, and I played it. It's fun. I mean, if you like Dynasty Warriors, you like Legend of Zelda, it's definitely a game for you. And again, coming to got moved to 3DS, and now it's coming to the Switch. So it's had its share of getting around. So I'm sure if you wanted to play it at this point, you found a way to play it. So if it coming to the Switch, I don't know that it's really gonna.
I agree with you 100% there. And if the Warriors game that is on the Switch, the Warriors Universe game that is on the Switch, Fire Emblem Warriors, already a superior game by everybody. Everybody says it was a superior game. They added in more tactics. They added in this. They added in that.
They pulled a lot from the Fire Emblem games, and those were a very tactical game to begin with.
So. And so I don't know. And I just think with the actual Dynasty Warriors 9 that just came out failing.
Yeah,
It's
it was
not a good move.
Yeah.
Nintendo, not a good move. Like, yeah, I guess for nostalgia's sake, they're gonna make some money off it.
Oh yeah, they'll make.
Will they make their money back from it? I don't know what the process entails.
Yeah,
to
so
put out a port.
What the port is for that, I don't know. I mean, you get some new stuff in it, so there is. I think there's some Breath of the Wild stuff that's being added to the game, so you'll get some more new content. So for people who want the game with even more content in it and play through all the same stuff all over again to get to the new content, to play the new content, if you want to do that drag, then you'll do it. But at the same time, if you're the person who buys even if you buy every other Dynasty Warrior game or every NFL or Madden game or every other one, I mean, you're getting the same drag there. You're playing the same crap over and over. Call of Duty, it's the same game almost every single time, and it drags on.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed did that. They took a year off, and they made a phenomenal game.
I bought Black Ops to play with my friends a long time ago.
Yeah.
I've never bought a Call of Duty since. Call of Duty 1 and 2, great. I loved them on the PC, 1 and 2, before they hit console, and then it just got crazy competitive, dumb shit.
Well, I would only buy the Black Ops games or the Treyarch. Because they had the zombie mode. Those are the only ones I would buy. I had Modern Warfare 2, and that was the first one that really got me to purchase one of them. So I bought that one. But then I started just getting the ones that had zombie mode.
And it's not that I don't like shooters. I just don't like that style of shooter. Give me Battlefield. Give me 64 players. Like, all right, guys, we're in a squad now. We're going to do this. Let's go do that. Let's get on a mission. Like, I like that. I like to have tactics. I don't like, all right, I'm level 555. I was able to purchase this gun. Let me drop in here with this perk and that perk and that perk and that perk, and I'm going to get 50 kills on you noobs.
Well, the thing that always pissed me off with Call of Duty was the people who would put on the all the running perks and then just run through and just knife everybody.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, I shot you in the chest with a shotgun. There's no way you're running at me with a knife.
If they got that knife click before you did the shot click, they would.
The
lunge.
Yeah,
was
I was just like that. That was
the
bullshit.
Halo lunge.
Yes, the Halo lunge. At least that sword had a little bit more range than the knife.
Yeah.
And it was an energy plasma sword, so I understood why it would kill someone in one
that
hit.
far away, exactly. Like, and even the motions. Once you saw the motion of the character going down for that lunge, you're like, I'm fucked. Drop controller right now. Let me respawn. All right, pick back up. Let's go.
Right. But yeah, it's so. Oh, and then the last port was that I noticed was the South Park one. So they get the fractured butthole.
Fractured butthole.
Yes.
I haven't played that one yet. I still need to beat the first one.
Well, so I beat the first one. I got the second one. I started it, and then other games came out, and I started playing them. So I need to go back to it.
Yeah, I used to be bad about that. I've been trying to get better recently. Sorry if you hear that. I don't know. I'm pouring more coffee. It might sound like peeing on this. I'm not sure. It was not me peeing.
Sam's just peeing into a bucket, guys.
I'm just being into my coffee cup and drinking it, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're distilling it.
Lemony.
You drink it black anyway, so by the time it comes through your system.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the same. Yeah, I've tried to have a better grasp on it, and I make myself beat a game before I buy a new game most of the time.
Yeah.
Now, for Kirby, I don't know what game I had to beat before buying that, but I'm definitely buying that game. Then I'm going to beat that, and I'll buy another game. I'll be okay to buy another game after that.
I don't do that. I just get I like this game. I'll get that game.
Yeah.
I buy it, and I end up having a backlog of games to
exactly.
play.
And like, I have a huge backlog of things to read, of things to listen to, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't got enough fucking time anymore.
Nope.
No more time. And then I play Warhammer on top of that. And that...
See? Always comes back.
Yep. It takes a lot of time when you have to play a 2-hour game. But it's so fun.
But I can play a 2-hour game on a system.
You can, but not on the level. Oh, man. I had such an adrenaline rush playing a game yesterday. Like, just such an adrenaline rush playing a huge competitive list against my competitive list, and we tied, and it was just such an adrenaline rush. We both were like, dude, that was one of the best games we've ever played. Hands down, like, handshake, like, dude, that was great. I don't know, you just get such a rush from playing that game and, like, thinking, and at the end of the day, you're like, shit, I thought too much today, but it's still a great time.
I spent my weekend fighting. Well, first I tried fighting Kieran in Monster Hunter World. That went decently. Totally got my ass kicked though. I feel like I did a decent job. I got him to run away a couple times for beating the crap out of him, and then he electrocuted me repeatedly and killed me. And then I killed the Rathalos, which is big
It
red
sounds
dragon.
nasty.
He
Sounds
was.
nasty.
He has fire and then does a lot of poison damage as well. So I managed to only get poisoned by him once, which was surprising. Cut off his tail early on, so that probably eliminated some of that. And then broke down his wings. He hit a dam and washed himself out.
Damn, that's bad luck.
Yeah, it was. And then I decided I would try and do the other half of that fight, which was go and fight the Diablos, which is an even bigger land dragon. I say land dragon because he doesn't really fly, but he likes to dig underground and then move and then come up underneath you.
Oh,
and
he's like Tyranid.
Yeah, he's gigantic and a giant pain in the ass. I immediately took to breaking his horns to lessen the physical damage he was doing with those. Then focused on his tail. And you got to use as many of the traps and things around. So there's like what are called flash bugs, which create little flash bombs. I had my own little flash bombs. I wish if I would have thought about it, I would put the screamer pods in because those make him come up from digging.
Hmm.
Those are so there's there's mechanics within the game to work around some of the things if you know what you're doing. People who've probably played the game more than I have might actually understand those things. But I had read some stuff, so I knew about some of those things, and I forgot about it when I went into the fight. So I'm in a fight, and you can die 3 times is what they give you. You can die 3 times, then they give you a game over. So you faint 3 times, and they carry you back to the base, and they bring you back to life and whatnot. I managed to do it without dying, which was surprising. I thought he was going to at least kill me once. I managed to run away, heal up, and when he would take off, I would go find myself another one of these trail raiders, which are like little. So you have your cat, if you remember from the game Boofer.
Yes, Boofer.
But you can go find these like stray cats essentially, that are.
It's a bad game for me.
So that they're like skinnier, more tribal looking cats, and you can find them, and some of them have different
You can't
abilities.
take them home, can you?
No, those ones you can't.
Okay, good.
You just run around with them, and they help you out.
Be a bad game.
So I found the set. They're performers, and they play like different instruments, and they give you buffs. So I used them to give me buffs while I was fighting this guy, and they would help attack. And then my cat went and talked to one of the monsters, and so I had one of the monsters helping me out. So we're like of this group of myself and computer characters fighting this thing, and I'm running away and healing and coming back and trying to flash and do all this other stuff. And like took me almost 40 minutes to do that fight. I think it was probably one of my longest fights in that game because that's a lot of health.
Fight.
Yeah, just a lot of health, and so you're running back and forth.
That sounds like a Phantasy Star Online epic boss battle from back in the game. Love that game. Maybe we should play some of that one day.
They're porting that. There's a port to that.
The GameCube one?
I don't know which one it is.
Oh, and my old friends.
I just remember going past an article because I've never actually played a Phantasy Star Online game. But I remember
I've tried to play others, but that's a good one.
I've never played one, but I remember seeing them. I remember hearing about them, and
I have it for the GameCube.
I know that it's
game cost me $60 like 10 years later.
Yeah, I believe it. I know one of them's getting ported. I think the extra phrasing starts with a P or something like that. I'm not sure.
I'll have to check it out because I love that game. But we'll definitely have to play some more Monster Hunters on the channel because that sounds interesting. I want to see some more. I just don't know I can play that game seriously by myself because of the talking.
Oh yeah, no,
I don't know. The lip syncing is just
there's still issues with all of that stuff. That hasn't gotten any better. There's still like the half spoken lines, and then they just stop, and you have the rest of the stuff you can read. Sometimes they don't have voice acting for a character all of a sudden, but they're talking.
Yeah,
they jump back and forth.
Yeah, and it would just annoy me too much, I think. Now, if I was playing multiplayer with people and all that stuff, I think I could do it. But like just by myself,
I spend so much time doing all the other missions that when I finally come back to those, I go, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's a thing still."
Yeah,
and then I just go back and
my eyes and listen.
I spend like the next 10 hours going through different quests or just hunting things because I want to collect all the armor pieces and stuff.
That's the way to do it.
There are things to it. So because I break it up like that, I haven't just done the story mode to get it out of the way. I go jump away and I go do a bunch of other stuff because I want to collect things and I come back to it, and then I just take a break from it for like a week, which is what I did this past week for the most part. Last night was probably the first time I played it in a week. If I wanted to play some DBZ fighters, get a little more practice in on that. And I figured out some stuff to make myself a little more
so that
competitive.
I can't beat you a couple of times in a row again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to go back to beating your ass.
So
I'll probably get my ass beat again just because I said that, because karma's
bringing up Dragon Ball. So what do we have coming up on the channel?
Well, we just re-exported out the first tournament. I don't want to give it its name yet because I want people to at least watch it before they find out what actually happened in that tournament.
So that should have been released on Monday by the time you guys listen to this.
And then
so go back and take a look at that.
Yes, and then I have another tournament after that I just finished. I got to correct one thing and re-export it out.
Yeah, so disclaimer if you haven't seen it yet. The first tournament unfortunately crashed on us because for whatever reason, when Tom's controller registers instead of player number 1, it's player number 3, the game crashes. Weird glitch that we found every time it's done that so far, which is only 2 times, but every time it's been when he's registered as player number 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's crashed on me before, but I'm usually playing like story mode or something else, so I don't see the player number.
Yeah.
So I don't ever know that that's the case. So if you're in the multiplayer stuff and you see that, then you'll know.
Exactly. So we have a half tournament coming out of what we got through in that one. And then we'll have the next following Monday probably, another full tournament of Dragon Ball Z fighters. And we can see who wins that one. Like, it was pretty back and forth with me.
It was, yeah.
Like, I got you in a couple of matches, but overall, it's going to be interesting to watch through again.
Yeah. So I don't know those are the things that I was working on. I don't know what you got working on.
So
might be coming out.
We have the Escapist, the Orca level coming out. So the Escapist is a game about escaping from prison. Go figure. And we had to escape from the USS Orca, I think it was called. And it was a boat, and you have to find your way off your jail cell on the boat and get off the boat. And so did we find our way off the boat, and how did we do it? Check that out. Probably next week or maybe this Friday. Yeah. I'm not sure yet.
So where are we at with 9 parchments?
Yes, 9 parchments we also have to release. That'll be this Friday.
I think might be the last episode.
Yes, the last episode of 9 parchments will be this Friday for you guys. You get to see the final boss and how well we did against it.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Somehow we managed to do better on the normal mode.
We did better on normal mode, and we're playing through on easy this time. It's already been said. It's already been said, so the cat's out the bag.
It was already said, but yeah, we had issues, and we went back through, and we were like, well, rather than trying to grind through this on a normal playthrough like we did the first time, we'll just play it on easy so we can get back to where we were, so we didn't have to hold up the production. Yeah,
production was still... That still was something that needed to go forward. Yeah. So we didn't want to keep running through levels and it taking hours again.
Yeah. So we cut that back a little bit. Made it a little bit easier. But we had
last bars was harder. Last boss was harder.
Yeah, it was harder, but we also didn't have... So that's an interesting thing, is that game, depending on what difficulty you have, changes how the bosses... or what stages there are in the bosses.
Yes.
So there are stuff that we could have...
Yeah, expert mode the last boss could be completely different. It could have 4 stages instead. This time it had 1. On normal mode it had 2. But I'm wondering because of the spells we had if it made it harder.
Yeah,
we kind of focused some spells.
Yeah, we didn't have.
And we were beasting against normal enemies, but then when it came time to like focus on that boss, get its weaknesses, blah blah blah. I don't know we were able to capitalize on the death, but other than that, we weren't able to be we need fire, blah, blah, blah.
When I was able to get rid of the ice one, I could capitalize on ice, but without that, I was kind of screwed.
Yeah, because this playthrough, we went through getting more of a variety, where last time it was a little bit more specific, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there was quite as much variety.
Because we were we want to kill everything and not worry about, we can't hurt it with this.
Right. We want to make sure that everyone had a chance.
A fair chance.
So you weren't stuck there trying to kill something and not have the right abilities, or the same goes for me.
Exactly.
Especially when one of us was down.
So that's what we have in our production backlog right now. We'll be sure to be recording more stuff for you. And please leave a comment. Tell us what you want. Send us a message. Get personal. Get to know us. We'll message you back.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Subscribe is great too.
Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about what's going on in the world, what you're interested in, want to hear our opinions on maybe next time. I know me and Sammy still want to talk about books and movies and things too. So this isn't necessarily going to be limited, but we would like to focus the podcasts in general.
Exactly. We'll probably end up doing specific quick thing of one of us interviewing the other one of us, so you get to know a little bit more about
Yeah.
us too. I mean, you've heard the hodgepodge of what the fuck am I? Dirty hippie, fisherman, woodsman, 40K plastic crack player. And yeah, so you heard Tom, and maybe you'll get to know us a little bit better after
Yeah.
that.
Until next time,
I'm Sam.
I'm Tom.
This is Geeks with a Podcast.
Issue number 3.
Goodbye.
Later.